All right, Shane, so we've been waiting to hold off. Wanted to discuss this one with you because we all know how you love you some James Franklin. But, man, we've got an epic showdown here on the road at Penn State. Number 20 Auburn, number 12 Penn State, nationally televised. I believe this game's on ABC Saturday night. It's going to be a whiteout. College game day will be on location. Penn State, number 2 in the nation with a +5 turnover margin. Auburn leads the nation, 61 points per game, tied for best in the nation, only allowing 5 points allowed per game. So, I mean, this is a juggernaut battle here. And Penn State, their first 2 games, won on the road at Wisconsin, 16-10. So quality opponent. Then they beat the hell out of Ball State. Speaking of D's nuts, 44-13. So, and we all know, Auburn just smashed Alabama State and Akron week 1 and week 2. So we're gonna find out a hell of a lot about Brian Harsin and his coaching staff this weekend. We're gonna find out if Bo Nix really has turned a corner like it looked week 1 against Akron. But how imperative is it, your thoughts on the matchup and this is probably, to me, aside from everything I just said, making this matchup such a big deal, for me, it's all about finding out what this Auburn team is made of, because I don't think they can contend in the West if you can't beat Penn State. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, yes. Obviously, that's going to be the right answer there, Mike. And there's a whole lot of factors here. That's the disadvantage of both of these programs in their first 2 weeks is they've not really played any tough opponents. So there's going to be a little bit of a come down to earth for both programs come Saturday. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Noise factor. That's definitely going to – I mean, we got to include that because I don't know if they're whiting it out or whatever, but –
Oh, yeah, no, it's definitely a whiteout.
Yeah, Penn State can get rowdy, but Bo Nix has been in some loud stadiums. He's been under some tough situations. I think about him back in the Florida Gator game. You remember that one a couple of years ago? So I think that's going to be the ace up their sleeve is the fact that the guys that are out there on the field are used to havoc, are used to loud noises. And this defense, man, I mean, a lot of people are talking about how many points they're putting on the board, but the defense is starting to play better week after week. So that's, I think, is what it's really going to boil down to is how much pressure can this defense put on them? Because, yeah, I have full confidence in Bo Nix and Tank getting out there and getting it done.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting that you talk about the crowd noise, Shane, because that is exactly what Brian Harsin's got on his mind, how they're going to deal with that. And interesting question also he got on just, keeping the players focused. They're going to be ready for Saturday, no doubt. But, you got to keep them, their mind on the task at hand leading up. Each day you can't be looking ahead to the big matchup. That is something that Brian Harsin addresses right here.
And then also, what are you guys doing in practice this week to prepare for crowd noise in Happy Valley?
The crowd noise, there's a lot of different ways. And it's interesting because when you get on a new staff, everybody's done things differently. And so I've actually kind of enjoyed hearing the different ways that people have prepared for the noise. But ultimately, we have speakers, we have a speaker system and all that. I don't think that we're going to get it exactly like it's going to be on game night, but we'll crank the music up or the sound and the crowd noise and music, whatever it is that we have to use to make it very loud. And then we're going to have to simulate a little bit, that we can't hear at certain times. So be ready for that. And then I think ultimately, part of playing on the road, in a big crowd, you do have crowd noise. You do need to deal with that, but it's all the other things too. You're not going to have the rest of your team. We travel 80 guys, and maybe that might even be better for us at the end of the day. So just more focus because there's less distractions on the side, but you don't have your entire team on the field there. You don't have the whole entourage of everybody on the sideline, and so you got to get that motivation and support from your teammates on the sideline there, and we got to do a great job of being able to just identify what's happening and know that the other 10 guys around you are going to do their job, and that's a big part of preparation, is knowing the guys around you are going to do their job, and because there may not be an opportunity to communicate, and our defense has had to deal with that at home the last 2 games. When our crowd has been loud and making it difficult on the offense, our defense, they're not really having a chance to communicate, so they got to do it a certain way. And now it's roles reversed. Our offense has a chance to do things differently and communicate a little bit differently, and they're going to have to do that in the game. So it starts immediately. It starts, and we work on that through the entire week. And then, by the end of it, that should just be another factor that comes with playing on the road and being prepared for that when we get out there and play on Saturday. And if we do that right, that shouldn't be, too much of a factor for us.
How you sort of approach making sure your team is focused, not just the game. It's going to be a completely different environment, but really the week. You mentioned being day to day and just taking it one game at a time. How do you make sure that they're not already on Saturday when it's just Monday?
Well, yeah, that's great. That's a great question. That's the reality of it. I don't know in their minds, but we talked about it on Sunday. We talked about, and even back this up. Let's go back. Months ago, this wasn't the first time that we had this conversation. Now that we're on the road, we've had this conversation long ago, and that's what I'm saying. Like, we got to remember those things and recall these type of conversations that we've had about, all right, it's Sunday, let's focus on Sunday. It's Monday, what are you going to do today to get yourself prepared for Tuesday's practice? And here's the reality. Some guys, when you have a chance to go play every week, there's guys that have a purpose from Sunday all the way through game day that they want to win, and they're preparing to win. Some guys want to go out there and just participate and be a part of it. So the reality of it is, what we did yesterday matters for what happens on Saturday, but we needed to really focus on Sunday because there was a lot of things that we needed to get right. And we needed to make sure that from a mindset standpoint, we were in the right frame of mind. And today's no different. Guys are going to come in and they're going to watch and study and prepare and be better than they were last week. It's not like we got to throw a cape on now and start doing things completely different. Just be better than you were the week before. Have a better process. That's really what it should be every single week. And some guys will do it. But the biggest thing is just the distractions that come with playing on the road, playing in a game like we're going to play. I think there's a lot of positive things around the game that we all can enjoy and know that it's a part of just having a great challenge on Saturday. But it comes down to the maturity of our team, the leadership of our team, and our coaches will continue to talk to our players about it. We just, we need everybody in this circle on this team just to be locked into what we know is the most important thing, which today is about preparation, tomorrow about our practice, and putting all that together throughout the week so we can play well on Saturday and just, not having everybody else's opinion.
All right, Chin, so make no mistake. This, of course, like you said, Auburn, they're the SEC. They're no strangers to these loud environments here. It's going to be rocking. I think back to the offseason when we had our friend Brett Sianka, Pick Six Previews, who lives in Pennsylvania, said this is just an epic game for those Penn State fans. They've been thinking about it all offseason because it's so rare that you get an SEC team into your house. But I think the recipe here, you hit on it there, the defense, so outstanding. We got Tank Bigsby, maybe the best running back in the nation.
Right.
I got to assume that the game plan is going to be, limit mistakes, try to take the air out of the ball, limit Penn State's possessions, and when they do have it, we'll suffocate them on defense. And that is the perfect recipe for pulling an upset on the road, don't you think?
Oh, with Mike, not even close. I mean, that's what it is. You want to take crowd noise out? You know how you take crowd noise out, Mike? You keep a hold of the ball, you keep those chains moving, and you keep putting points on the board. You do that, then the crowd noise ain't going to be a factor. So I think the emphasis at practice this week needs to be the trenches, controlling the line of scrimmage, and just keep moving the ball, man, because the longer you hold on to it, that's the less time Penn State has it. And you just, like I said, you can cut that crowd noise out.
And interesting, Shade, I mean, this is completely unrelated normally, but I don't know if you saw Southern Cal, they fired their coach, Clay Helton. Mm-hmm. And as soon as that happened, who was the first name to pop up on the board?
Lane Kiffin.
Well, certainly Lane Kiffin, but the other one, James Franklin. That is the go-to name I'm seeing on all the rumor mills and all these sites. So that potentially a distraction for Penn State when you don't need it, certainly with Auburn, red-hot Auburn coming into town. That's something that James Franklin, we even got comments from Miss Penn State loser here on the distractions of the USC game and on the fact that, I thought this was an interesting point that considering that Auburn's coaching staff is made up of so many coaches from all over the country and the fact that Auburn's really not been tested these first 2 weeks, Penn State, they don't really have a good read on what Auburn's going to do. There's no film, they believe, on what they're going to see on Saturday. So again, maybe another potential advantage for the Tigers.
Yeah, man. And the fan base is chanting for you guys. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I hope they travel well up there. I hope they make their own noise because I don't know about you, Mike, but I hate when the SEC loses games. That Georgia-Clemson game, I was a proud dad watching the SEC team go over there and kick some ass. Then to turn around to watch LSU drop one to a Pac team, So it's just we're creating a narrative here. How can we be the best conference by going out of conference and kicking ass? And that's what I hope Auburn does this weekend.
As you guys know, I can't stand in any form of distraction. So I'll discuss this today with the Leadership Council so that we can make sure that all of our energy is on our preparation for Auburn. And that's how we'll handle it. I'm gonna talk to the Leadership Council today about it.
How difficult can it be facing someone that you have such close familiarity with when it comes to Derek Mason as defensive coordinator, being somebody you worked with for years?
Well, I've never worked with Derek, but I know Derek. I know Derek obviously very well. Not only personally but also professionally. I think probably the biggest challenge for us, with these guys is the way their first 2 games have played out, and the type of people they have played. It makes it a little bit challenging on tape. To evaluate the tape. And again, with a new head coach and new coordinators, are we watching Boise State film? Are we watching Vanderbilt film? Are we watching Georgia film, Colorado State film, South Carolina film? What do you watch to get enough examples of, formations, of situational football and scenarios that you want to get covered? You just don't have a whole lot to work with. When you get into a game and it's a blowout early on, those late game reps are not as important in your breakdown because I don't know if they are as realistic of information as you would get under a different scenario. So that's probably the biggest challenge. I wouldn't say it's necessarily the familiarity with me and Derek.
All right, Shade. So James Franklin, I guess he was not going to – I don't understand what the hell he's talking about here. He couldn't have talked to his players before this question or, I don't know. But like I said, this is not the distraction that Penn State needs heading into this marquee showdown. And I'm just saying – I'm not saying, but I'm saying, I don't know. I'm seeing the stars align here for Auburn to go on the road, pull this upset here. And, it is a whiteout, so everybody gets hyped up and say, well, how in the hell can Auburn win in a whiteout? Well, Penn State is 6-6 during a whiteout, so they're not even that good at it. So, I don't know. I'm just saying.
Trust me, we've been checkering kneeling how long? So no, that ain't gonna be a factor. I mean, what's gonna be a factor is, like you said, distractions and overlooking. Because I'm telling you right now, we live in this bubble of the SEC. Outside the SEC, Penn State, there's not one. I mean, even Vegas thinks there's no shot that they can go up there and win this game. So that's what you want. You want that super confidence, because you want to talk about making a room quiet. That's when you go up there and you punch them in the mouth.
Mm-hmm.